As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized CIMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a CIMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the CIMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study exam. Start studying the CIMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
International Women's Day is acclaimed to be a global day for celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. And it's also the day where we back a call to action for accelerating gender parity. You know, sometimes it just seems like there are so many days scheduled for women's celebration, but this is March 8th, and it marks the day in which we celebrate women's achievement. We actually educate and get people aware of how women equality works, and we also call for positive change to happen for women and also men across the world. Perhaps, let me use this word. We try to lobby for accelerated gender parity when we do fundraise for women-focused charities and also educate people about women through events, campaigns, and all sort of things. So I'll say good evening, my distinguished colleagues and friends of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. Today is 7th March 2024, and we'll be discussing a topic that really everyone, perhaps women folks, can resonate with. But we want the men to be informed or well informed about women breaking barriers. So today we have two guests on the program. One is a member of the Governing Council of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, in person of Ms. Mbang Joy Esu, FCA. And we also have Mrs. Toyin Gbagi. She's the partner and the chief operating officer, KPMG West Africa. I would like to go on a break, and we'll be right back. Perhaps I just sit back and watch what we have for you on the program today, and you'll be very glad you joined the ICAN on air. My name remains Fumi Olani, and I'm glad to be here with you. We'll go on the break, and we'll be right back.
All across the nations, all around the world, women are longing to be free, no longer in the shadows, forced to stay behind, but side by side in true equality. So sing a song for women everywhere. Let it ring around the world and never, never cease. So sing a song for women everywhere. Equality, development, and peace. Women can't be silent when all around the world people hurt and hungry children cry. We'll sing out loud for justice and development and hold the rights of other people high. So sing a song for women everywhere. Let it ring around the world and never, never cease. So sing a song for women everywhere. Equality, development, and peace. Women now are working to build a better world, where the love of peace can rest on every shore, where men lay down their weapons and learn to love and share, and people want to bring an end to war. So sing a song for women everywhere. Let it ring around the world and never, never cease. So sing a song for women everywhere. Equality, development, and peace. So sing a song for women everywhere. Let it ring around the world and never, never cease. So sing a song for women everywhere. Equality, development, and peace.
All right, that was International Women's Day song, Anthem, and I hope you enjoyed it. Sing a song for women everywhere. So we have distinguished guests in the studio, but I'd like to take a citation, or perhaps let you know who they are, because they're not ordinary people. They're special people in their own field. So I'd like to take the profile of Miss Mbang Joy Esu, FCA. She's a member of the Governing Council of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. She is a princess, and in Calabar Municipal Council area of Cross River State, Nigeria. She had her undergraduate and postgraduate studies in the University of Calabar and Nasarawa State University, respectively. And she's an active member of several professional bodies, some of which include the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, Compliance Institute of Nigeria, Society of Women Accountants of Nigeria, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, the Chartered Institute of Public Finance and Accountancy UK, Institute of Chartered Fraud Examiners, amongst many. As an accomplished chartered accountant, a certified forensic accountant, financial investigator, a tax illicit financial flow expert, Miss Joy Esu has made sterling contributions to private service in Nigeria while maintaining unassuming demeanor. Miss Princess Mbang, FCA, is a woman of character, integrity, personified, and very accommodating. Her contributions to humanity cut across diverse groups in all spheres of life. Princess Joy Esu is committed to a fault on whatever that has to do with the advancement of the cause of women and the girl child. She is a go-getter, impact maker, solution provider, career woman, pace setter, and a trailblazer. Please give a welcome to the trailblazer in person of Princess Esu. Thank you so much for coming today. We truly appreciate you. So I'll also like to read the profile of Mrs. Toyin Gbagi. She is a partner and the CEO of KPMG West Africa. I'll read a profile to say, prior to assuming the CEO role, she was a partner and the head of audit consumer and industrial markets and the head of people strategy. She has over 26 years of extensive experience in providing audits, services to KPMG Nigeria's varied clients in diverse industries and economies, delivering value-added services and to all our clients. She was the lead engagement partner on audits of several large subsidiaries of national operating in Nigeria, including publicly listed entities on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, amongst many. Toyin also has specific responsibility for assisting with implementing and monitoring risk management and procedures focused on identifying, mitigating, and minimizing professional risks to KPMG Nigeria while still delivering high quality services. In our previous role as head of people strategy, the key responsibility was to provide a strategic direction to ensure KPMG Nigeria remains a leading employer, attracting and retaining people of the highest standards. Overall, she led the firm's people strategic initiatives and championed a lot of the firm's people agenda. Please welcome Mrs. Toyin Gbagi, FCA, to today's program. I'm so glad to have both powerful women in the studio. Okay. Okay. I just wanted to be sure that you can hear me properly and you can speak back. So you can say hello to your audience.
Hi, wonderful audience, very distinguished personalities out there. We are good and we are glad to be here.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. And thanks for the opportunity. We're excited, just joining my voice as well in promoting the female agenda. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I mean, we are very privileged to have you today. Looking at today, it just happens to be a great day in my life also, 15 years counting. You know what it is when they say women, take it home, front, workplace, and you're still succeeding. I see that in both of you. So my question is, in the world of legendary, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he once said that in our society, the women who break down barriers are those who ignore limits. And I know that that is true for both of you. So under the subject that we have today, when you talk about gender and breaking barriers, what is a barrier? And please, can you run our audience through some of the gender barriers that are out there? So I'll tell our member of governing council to please answer. Princess Esu, FCA.
Well, thank you so much for me. We are glad to be here, me and my sister Toyin.
Absolutely.
Breaking barriers as women dates back. Some of those barriers we are faced with is limited access to education. Some time ago in Nigeria, we had the issue of the girl child education, but thank God with increased advocacy, that narrative is being changed. So those barriers, education, we look at the workplace, there are some jobs specifically restricted for some gender. And our gender, we sometimes not
to how right now.
So always having that.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I mean, there was a glitch, but thank you so much for shedding more light on that. We have to break barriers here, all forms of barriers. Okay. So before we go deep into today's discussion, how sensitive or sensational, or perhaps I should use the word, how rational or biased is the subject gender generally? This is to Queen Toyin.
Okay, thank you very much. And as I think about this, with respect to the gender sensitivity gap, like you rightly asked, I think that's closing in, if you ask me. It's a journey, definitely. We're not there yet. I'm sure if you follow the statistics of the World Economic Forum and the guys who are really close, the organizations who are closer to this, they'll tell you there's still, a wide gap in terms of the gender parity. But I know over time and over the years, there's been a greater awareness and campaigns, especially amongst a lot of organizations, with respect to the diversity and inclusion strategy that every organization needs to imbibe, and just making sure that, the unconscious bias that we face day to day as women, is kind of demystified with time in ensuring that we foster a wider society. So I would say it's really sensitive at this stage, but I guess as the awareness grows and more campaigns and a lot happening in the diversity and inclusion space, it's actually helping to close that sensitivity gap.
Okay, thank you so much. Because I was once KPMG, and I know that you used to champion women in KPMG to grow out of being in their own space and expanding their horizon. So this is also to Queen Toyin. Historically, most people, women like you, they are broken barriers and are still breaking more. Is there, or are there any unique features or characteristics that are associated with such women? Is this something special?
I think, to put it, and thanks for that. That's really very interesting. And I know oftentimes when I'm asked that question, I just normally say success really has no gender. And that's what every woman should know. Success really has no gender. But of course, we're very aware, like my colleague, the Queen, had said, in terms of just the gaps that we see today and the barriers that we see. And as I think about it, if I look at the barriers could be either external or internal. And I guess in the course of the session, we'll talk more to what those internal and external factors are. So when I look at, just going back to the question, in terms of, are there specific attributes or early unique features or characteristics that, successful women should be associated with? I think it's just, the rudiments and the attributes that's actually is synonymous with success. So that's the way I would answer it. It's really about being passionate about what you do. It's about challenging status quo. And when you look at the persona of a male and a female, you realize that, oftentimes the courage and the bold factor of our male colleagues are more emphasized. And sometimes women, we tend to cower in and shine. And so, but, if you begin to resonate with some of those attributes, it actually would position, every woman, because the traditional or the rudiments for success hasn't changed. So it's all about, being passionate, being determined to succeed, being resilient, hard work, investing in oneself, and overall just establishing credibility, as a woman.
Yes, we all have to establish credibility. Thank you so much, Queen Toyin. So, if I want to, Queen Joy here, according to Roosevelt, a former First Lady of the United States, in a word which I always use sometimes when I speak to other women, she said, a woman is like a tea bag. You never would know how strong she is until she's in hot water. So, from our words, must a woman be pushed or subjected to challenges before she brings out her best? Queen Joy.
Queen Femome and Queen Toyin, I know you, both of you, that you don't need to be pushed for you to achieve whatever you need to achieve. So the answer is, woman will necessarily have to be pushed or subjected to challenges for her to bring out our best. While overcoming these challenges, we sometimes try to bring out the best in every individual. It is not necessary. We are just naturally wired. We are just created by God to know what to do and what not to do. So many women like us, I say like us because we've been there, we are self-motivated. Like Toyin in KPMG, she has risen to that level. She needs to tell you, maybe you go behind and ask her how she managed. She had developed her talent, her skill. She sees the perspective that a woman does not need to go back for anything. Because we have already schooled ourselves and built up ourselves, we demand to get what we need to get. Yeah. So it's a no. We don't need to be pushed. But most times there are some women that needs a little push. That's why we are here at the background, to mentor such women, but we don't need to be pushed anyway. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And still on you, because from your resume, it seems you are very particular about the girl child education and also freedom. So knowing what is involved when it comes to girl child education, is there an established template for the girl child development? And perhaps if the answer is yes, how effective is it? Or what would you say otherwise if it's not a yes for you?
For me, there is actually no established template for the girl child development that is universally applied to the girl child. Every girl child is unique in its own needs, experience, which must be considered when designing programs and interventions for their development. However, there are frameworks and guidelines that's been chunked out from different places, from the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, of the Girl Child, the Girl Declaration, and the Sustainable Development Goal. This framework emphasizes the importance of ensuring that a girl child have access to education. Education, they say if you train a woman, you're training the whole world. So there is if a child is trained, so the effective intervention of all these programs are designed to promote the education of the girl child. So in summary, there is no established template for this girl-child development, but that these other frameworks and guidelines chunked out from time to time should be prioritized and be able to meet the needs of the girl child. So, and these policies too will be tailored to how a girl child is supposed to be educated and enlightened and carried along. And we see some of these curricula in some schools specifically, yes.
Okay, I think we need to continue to carry the flag of that we want to set some women free from all boundaries. But some men, they always get frightened when women are gathered, and it's not our fault. We just seem to stand out, right? So, to Queen Toyin, studies have actually shown that when it comes to gender abuse or discrimination, that no gender is actually spared. Men are being battered, women are equally being battered. There are abuse everywhere, even across the world. What is your personal opinion about abuse generally for genders? Okay, you're muted. I think you're muted.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm actually not. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Okay, sorry, I don't know what must have happened. Apologies about that. So I said, just getting back to the question, that's an interesting one. When you talk about the fact that no gender is paired, I do recognize that both male, female, get bashed from time to time. But like I said at the beginning, there's still this unconscious bias. And if you really step back and say, what is this unconscious bias? It's really about the fact that there's a way that our brain is triggered automatically, to make quick judgments and assessments. That's really what the unconscious bias is really about. And what judgments and assessments do we make from time to time is all about the associations that we hold. So if I just step back on a race, for instance, you talk about racism and what does that really mean? People making judgments and assessment based on the color of your skin. So gender is also one of it. And if I think about it as a female as well, there are times that you meet certain people. Already, there's some men who don't even like to relate with a woman, even in the professional world. So until you establish your credibility and then you begin to have a win, in that regard. So in terms of the going back to the question again, I don't think we're really there yet. If we say, there's no difference in terms of historically how, the male and the female are being perceived. I think it's closing, but I'm not sure we're there yet at this stage. And there's still a lot to be done. And even the researchers will tell you that from the data that is being produced from time to time.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So we still have a lot of work to do. As much as the men think that the women are everywhere, we think that we have not even gotten to 10% of what is required of us. Yes, so you're very correct about that. So Queen Joy, in the words of Michelle Obama, the former United States president, she actually says that there is no limit to what we as women can accomplish. And as women, we have broken barriers in different ways. But do you have a direct or indirect collaboration with the Nigerian Ministry of Women Affairs? Or is there anything that we in our private space can do for other women so that we can empower them? And I know you as a princess reached out in different ways. So how can we do this more than we currently do?
Thank you. Even the little we is still not enough. Put in our own little spaces to reach out to us. I was the of Nigeria here in Abuja chapter. So in the course of my 2-year tenure as a chairperson, we have done a whole lot to the National Women Day. One of those occasions we had in 2002, we had breaking barriers. Now that we are coming up to breaking barriers, glass ceiling and stereotypes, down to the women in the market square. We went to Garki market. You know, there's so many women that are in the market, they believe that they are downtrodden, but we didn't see them at that. The advocacy we took there was that they should look at themselves as a provider of and builder of their home. If they are not there to encourage their own children and the husband by coming out to something is slave. We told them it's not slaving. You are trying to do a trade and you are earning from there. That is where your dignity is. We taught them that there is dignity in labor. So today you might be in the market, but tomorrow you might from the market enter, become executive in anywhere. We see some executive women in different places this time. So we have done that. Then in last year, 2023, we in Abuja chapter, we empowered over 75 women in skilled acquisition. What did we do? We did a kind of fundraising. We call it charity ball. We raised enough fund and we're able to empower them with sewing machine, hairdressers, and we're able to settle those women with those seed capital. Apart from giving them those items, we also inculcate in them that virtue of record keeping. We taught them how to keep the records of their businesses in order for them to grow. So when we carried out our we call it after empowerment analysis, we discovered that those women have grown. They have even employed some apprentices in those shops. What am I saying in essence? It doesn't matter how much you have. A little money could assist a child on the street. A little amount of help can assist a market woman in a shop. So what is it that you can do to pull out these people and encourage them? The theme for this year, International Women's Day, is inclusive. Fumi, please help me. Inspire inclusion. Inclusion. So, yeah. Inspire inclusion. So we are going to inspire inclusion. Yeah, inspire inclusion. We are inspiring inclusion in Abuja chapter of SWAN. I know that SWAN everywhere we are going to shine. When we come to that question, I will answer very well. But in Abuja, we are going to inspire inclusion by moving our campaign train to another market, this time the Wuse market. Last time we were in Garki market. So we are moving our campaign there and we are going to empower a whole lot. We have so many empowerment items to do all of that. And we've also been doing that with the Girl Child campaign. We are pulling out girls from the orphanages and all of that, and we are settling them in school because God has been enabling us by his grace. People have been supporting and we have been going into partnership with several people. And we also did a medical outreach, a mega medical outreach in one community last year where we got women, the girl child, so sorry, our men. Our main focus in SWAN is on the girl child and the women. That is why you see me talking about women, girl child. Not that we don't do for men, we do that too. Because we go for hospital visitation and we donate items to everybody in that place. So we are doing for men, but our main focus as SWAN women, as SWAN ladies, is to empower our women and our girl child to be what God has created them to be. Thank you, Fumi.
Thank you very much. For those that don't know, I think we should take up the slogan of our SWAN. So Society of Women Accountants of Nigeria will say up SWAN.
Up ICAN.
Up SWAN. Women of Integrity.
Thank
you so much, Swan, for using the platform to elevate women. So I'd like to recognize some of our guests, audience here. It says, let me equally join the feminine world to celebrate the 2024 IWD. Happy celebration to you all from the ancient city of Ibadan. We say thank you so much, Mr. Fagbola. And then we have Onyema Emmanuel. Say good evening all and happy Women's Week. Love to virtuous women in our world, ICAN and all over the world. Thank you very much. Abidoye Oderinde. He says happy good evening to all and shout out to women of integrity. Thank you. Sunny Abdulkarim says, good evening, PC Sunny from Kano. Happy International Women's Day. Rafiat Badamosi is saying, happy International Women's Day to all our queens. Folashade Janet Fakorede says, yippee, so glad to be here. Good day, my PCs. My special greetings to Queen and Queen Mothers. Happy International Women's Day and up Swan. Thank you so much, everyone. Please get your questions ready. We're here to take up all your questions. You see these women, they're ready to take you up anyhow. So if you have the questions for them, let them know. We are ready to empower women. We are ready to empower girls. We are ready to take people off the streets through the different platforms that they belong. You just may not know. So back to our next question. I want to go to on a break, but I have a question that I want Queen Toyin to respond to before we go on that break. Because while the anthem was on, some men, I could hear whispers already saying, "Hey, the Beijing war started, another Beijing has come." There's this strong belief that the 1995 Fourth World Conference Declaration on Women in Beijing, it marked a significant turning point for the emergence of many Amazons like yourself. So, based on your experience as a woman who has obviously positively broken barriers, please, what kind of attributes does a woman require to attain and achieve the level of success that you have recorded?
Okay, thank you for me. I couldn't help but laugh when you talked about the Beijing conference, and I just did the time. I went over time, and I said it's almost 3 decades. 30 years
Yeah.
would be next year, and I know how that word triggers a number of our male colleagues. That was very interesting for me. But having said that, I think, like I normally would say, and I've said this oftentimes, no credible woman, no professional woman, we've just talked about upholding integrity. No woman wants to be successful, bearing all the hard work and for it to be accrued to the fact that it's because you're a woman. I think sometimes it's very demeaning, when comments like that are being passed. So every credible professional woman of integrity also wants to flourish and and relish in the outcomes of all the hard work, resilience, and the various things that you've invested in yourself and in your career. And the last thing, and that's what when we talk about the women agenda, I don't think the conversation really is about the fact that we want to cut corners, or is about the fact that we want to be shortchanged for a man who is better positioned or who is more skilled. I think the conversation is around ensuring that women are empowered, and women who have the right skills are in the right position to be able to create and enable the right change that we want to see from time to time. And I keep going to that word, unconscious bias, so I'm not sounding like a broken record. So you've got a man and a woman, same skill set, same level of, authorization and all the relevant things that you would say. I think it's just that fair hearing and not really being put down, just using very granular words now, just because of your gender. And that's really what the conversation is about. Because I don't think any of us here, if I ask Queen Joy or myself or you, for me, in all your achievements, you would really want that to be accrued to the fact that you didn't earn it and it was just because you were a woman. So in terms of, as we challenge ourselves as women as well, I think there's a lot as well that we need to do. And this is really where it then begins to matter. So as a woman, you've got to be diligent, regardless, like I said at the beginning, success is not a gender thing. There's certain elements, there's certain attributes, and there's certain outcomes for certain expectations and investments that you expect in the normal course of time. So if I take that, you've got to make sure that when you have an opportunity as a woman, you've been given an opportunity or you've been charged with the responsibility, you've got to make good of it and throw yourself in it to make sure that it's the conversation doesn't become, oh, it's because it's a woman. And sometimes I just laugh. You see, sometimes when we're driving and maybe there's a bad driver who has just flashed, the normal first line of conversation is, oh, it's probably a woman. That just cracks me all the time. So it's important that every woman knows that the first thing, you've got to thrive. You've got to thrive well in the work that you do. And you've got to be very, very determined as well to succeed. Of course, barriers do happen in life. And this is where it begins to matter as a woman. I think it was Indra Nooyi who said it very well when she did talk about the fact that that's the former global CEO, of PepsiCo. And, there's something she said that I know a number of us probably would have heard. She said, when a woman starts a career, the biological clock is always at conflict with the career clock. And this is where I always, challenge myself, and I also challenge, a number of the women I do mentor as well. You've got to ensure that you have the right support. You've got to ensure you have the right enabling environment to ensure that whatever you've set to achieve, those internal factors, remember at the beginning, I talked about external and internal factors, do not become a barrier. The second thing as well is the mindset. Sometimes even without the male colleagues, we don't do ourselves right as well as women. I think the right mindset that we bring to certain tasks that has been assigned. And oftentimes, there's a lot of conversation about STEM. Say there are fewer women in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, which is really what STEM stands for. Even when you have the right talent, you've got the right attributes, we're not as courageous as we should be. So I think we also need to work on our mindset that there is no role that is specifically for a man, or there's no role that is specifically for a woman. You've seen women do great things. We've seen women astronauts, we've seen women pilots. And so I think that mindset is really where we need to conquer, at the beginning, in terms of ensuring that, we become all that we can be, and ultimately realize and achieve our career objectives. So I'll just like to pause so that I don't keep going on.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. While you were speaking and you mentioned women pilots, I just recall a trip that I had during the week, and it was a female pilot, and the person seated next to me said, "Oh, now I'm afraid it's a woman." And in my mind, I'm like, if you hadn't seen who was behind the copy, I mean, you couldn't have. And that's what is going on. There's just this trust issue when it comes to women doing things. But don't worry, we're taking the
Absolutely.
space and we're going to take it conveniently. So I'd like to go on a commercial break. I will be right back. Remember, it's Women Breaking Barriers on today, the 7th day of March 2024. We'll be right back after the break.
The Skill Up Artisans Program Super is an initiative of the federal government.
The aim of Super is to upskill Nigerian artisans for better employability. This we are carrying out by collecting the data of Nigeria artisans through massive registration, training, certification, and licensing for better job opportunities, both locally and internationally.
Super will improve the quality of life of Nigeria artisans. It will improve the quality of work from Nigeria artisans, enhance work and professional ethics from Nigeria artisans, reduce dependency on foreign artisans, and increase foreign exchange through talent export.
Log on to super.itf.gov.ng to register now. Super, upskilling Nigeria artisans for super job.
You're welcome back to ICAN-ngr today, and we have, because it's the International Women's Day, but there's nothing we can do about it. I don't know about Men's Day, but this is International Women's Day, and we want to take over the world. So it's still breaking barriers on ICAN-ngr, and we have our distinguished guest, Queen. Just shed some light on how women can occupy the space before the men, but it's okay. We'll just try to occupy part of it. If you want us to take over, we'll take over 100%. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And then my question is to our governing council member. They said the boardroom politics exist in both private and public settings, and this has been known to consume a lot of organizations, a lot of institutions. How should women approach and survive in settings where boardroom is? There's so much politics in boardroom. So how can we survive?
Thank you very much, Fumi. I know a whole lot of women are confronted with this gender reef. Women are supposed to be in the kitchen, remember, in those days.
The other room, yes, we hear that.
So, well, really, now these days we know that women are really making waves in politics, but not the wrong side of politics anyway. So, some of the tips that these women, the approach they should use, network. Women should build strong support network, both inside and potential allies, and build relationship around, so that at any point in time they can navigate and speak up. They say speak up. If you don't speak up, nobody will speak for you. Issue of gender violence, those challenges, if they speak up, I'm sure somebody will be out there will be able to help. They should speak up. Women should voice their opinion. Women are not meant to speak. In those days, we used to know that women were not supposed to speak in some setting, but as time speak, so women should try to be prepared. If you are not prepared and a challenge is thrown at you, you won't be able to, you won't know how to handle it. So we should live like now when you called us to appear on air, we want the thing to be top notch. So women have to also stay professional, build qualification, so that anytime they need anything, they won't say you don't have the qualification. You understand? So we should stay professional and advocate for all. We have to embrace women, support women. Let us not be our own enemies. Thank you so much.
Exactly. Thank you so much. I mean, we should not be our own enemies. Yes, a lot of women actually drag themselves down. So thank you so much for saying that in the real sense of it. So to Queen Toyin, according to Mary Elizabeth Winstead, there's a comment she made around that you don't have to play masculine to be a strong woman. And women who have been farmers, women who are petty traders, women who are house helps, caregivers, they have been known to rise above their limitations and they've broken barriers. So, what is the drive, or what can I say is the spirit or the inspiration behind such kind of women to succeed? What can you say is the reason why they succeed?
Okay, thanks a lot for that. And if I just make a comment to what Queen Joy had said earlier on, and she did speak, excellently about the question you had asked her, and I think just taking a cue from that, as women, we're wired differently, and you see that women leaders, it's been researched, so this is not really me, but it's been proven over time as well, that women leaders bring unique attributes to the boardroom. And you can talk about some of these attributes. So when we're talking about the board politics, I just said, there are unique attributes that we bring to the boardroom. So you don't necessarily need to play masculine, for you to make the necessary impact. And you find out that some of the boards, we're talking a lot about diversity of boardrooms now, and the research has shown that, when you talk about empathy, you talk about collaboration, focusing on long-term sustainable growth, it's the data that proves that as well, whereby you see that they're increasingly, more search for women on boards, as a result of some of these unique attributes that comes naturally, to us in some regard. And they're all very important for today's organization, especially where the velocity of change is very high and the generational change as well. So in terms of the leadership skills and what you need for today's world, is also evolving as well. So I just thought it was important to just further, hone in on that. And so when you talk about, do we have to play, and I really love the word of Mary Elizabeth Winstead, like you rightly quoted, you don't have to play masculine to be a strong woman. I know there's societal pressures as well. So you find that sometimes, and we do have a lot of joke around this, when a man is very strong or, he's very affirmed about what he's saying, they say man is very assertive, when he's speaking boldly, he's speaking very confident. The world says, oh, this man is very assertive. But when a woman goes that route, and you see a woman who is confident, a woman who, saying things as it should be, they then tag the woman as arrogant. So those are some of the things that as women, we just have to continue to stay in the play. So if I get back to, what's the spirit, what should be, the kind of inspiration, behind, some of the women that we've seen that have recorded success. And as I reflect on that, they've been women who have been resilient. They've cut through, the various complexities and the gender barriers that in their time, were even more prevalent. So we've seen women who are resilient, and resilience is actually a key attribute. And it's not just peculiar to women anyway. Even today, and if you think about our country today, resilience is a key attribute that everyone needs. A woman needs to be confident as well. So if you look at the attributes of some of the successful women, they're very confident. And Queen Joy made a point about it. Advocacy, having your voice heard, and not just, we do all the great work, but sometimes we do not make it known. So you've got to be confident, and you've got to be passionate. You've got to exude passion in what you do, and emotional intelligence as well. I believe that's also a very critical attribute. And sometimes, because of the way we are wired as women, we tend to allow our emotions to override us, and we become, we sometimes could be perceived, in a manner that may not really be in fact. And that's where you begin to have that disconnect. And so as women, we've got to be emotionally intelligent, even in the workplace, in terms of how we address issues, and also just being conscious, of our femininity in that regard. I mean, I could go on, but those are some of the attributes I would say when you look at a number of these women who have been successful over time, they've actually, demonstrated in one regard or the other.
Okay, I mean, back to you, Queen Toyin, because the question is for both of you, but perhaps you should take the lead on it first before. I know about KPMG women, and but tomorrow is the D-Day. That is the day where we celebrate the International Women's Day, to recognize all the impact of women, cultural, social, economic, political achievements of women.
Yeah.
So what have you and the organization you work or other affiliates that you belong, what have you lined up for tomorrow to celebrate women generally?
Yeah, interesting. And I think let me use the opportunity as well to wish every woman, happy International Women's Day. And I think it's one day that I know there's a lot of wave and buzz, and you see some of our male colleagues as well tease us in various regards. Of course, at KPMG as well, we do celebrate IWD, which is the International Women's Day. So over time, we've always celebrated the successes and achievements of our women, across the firm. It's quite interesting for us, when we look at our population, it's a huge size. We're currently about 47% women in the organization, and that speaks to a lot of work that has been done, over time in ensuring that we continue to create equal opportunities, for both male and female. Of course, from a leadership perspective, we expect that as well to continue to grow, and we've seen that grown over time. So there's a lot we do celebrate when it comes to the female agenda, especially as it ties into our diversity and inclusion strategy, just to foster, the growth of women in the firm. So we do have a network. We normally would call it KNOW, which is the KPMG Network of Women, and KNOW actually facilitates that. And I steer that platform, along with my other female partners and colleagues as well, in just making sure that we continue to inspire women to aspire to leadership, and also championing programs that would empower women to be effective leaders. So we already do have a plan, and we normally would do that. But unfortunately for this year, we lost one of our staff yesterday, and in honor of that dear colleague of ours, we're kind of toning the celebration for this year. But over time, and there are other events that we do from year to year, from time to time, beyond the IWD events, within the premise of our KPMG network. So we normally would have something on a quarterly basis, just to make sure there are touch points, with women in the firm, and in terms of how we continue to foster both their personal and professional growth in that regard.
Thank you so much, and sorry for our loss. Queen Joy, what are you planning? Let them know.
Thank you so much for me. Mrs. Toyin, please do accept our deepest condolences.
Thank you very much.
So sorry for the loss.
Thank you.
As usual, SWAN, the Society of Women Accountants of Nigeria, they are going to hit the streets tomorrow. Every planned arrangement is in top gear. The SWAN National will be led by our national chairperson, Chief Hilda Ozo. She will be leading the team right there in Lagos. Everybody is converging in Ebute Metta office. There, we are going to take walk with our banner and all the SWAN Queen beautifully decorated in yellow and black and a face cap to match. We are taking the advocacy of Inspire Inclusion to the streets also with a walk. They have other lined up activity there in Lagos. Likewise, because SWAN currently have over 21 chapters in the 21 states. We are going to replicate the same in all the states that we have SWAN chapters. All of them are going to take the campaign to the streets, advocating for women inclusion, advocating for women equality, for women to be given a voice, for women to be allowed to do the things they're supposed to do, as well as donating. I'm stressing that donating. You know how the economic situation is right now. A little thing that you can package and share with that woman that is on the streets that is looking up to someone to assist, we are packaging things for them. And I told you earlier that SWAN Abuja chapter, as usual, we are going to hit the street in Wuse Market. We have our packaged items we are going to share to those women in the market. We are not just going there to share those items. We are going there to build up their confidence that they can be all that they choose to be at any point in time, because it is very, very possible for them to become a chief executive in their own right at any forum. So we are taking that campaign to them to build confidence in them, motivate them, and encourage them to do something that will make them stand out. Their destiny is not going to end in the market. That is the kind of confidence we are going to inculcate in them. So tomorrow, Fumi, I know you're going to join us in Ebute Metta in Lagos. I'm here in Lagos. I'm in Abuja. I'll be joining them on the streets to Wuse Market. Then from there, we'll take our walk and possibly go to Akintola William House in Abuja, and we are going to end our march there. And what is the message we are passing? We are saying that women are advocating for inclusion in the political space. Women are advocating for inclusion in every area, political, social, economic, anything you can name. So we are out there and we will be all that we can be. And thank God, ICAN has already given us that voice. You know, ICAN, if you are a chartered accountant, you know how it is, the drill.
Yes.
So we can do anything.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I guess I want to ask this question because it's important. You mentioned politics. You mentioned on the federal level and everything. But based on your practical success story as a woman that have broken barriers, if Mr. President invites you, for example, to speak to the federal executive on how we can produce more women, so how do you think, what do you think are the salient points that we should raise? But along and while you're answering that question, I know that we've been talking about the high moments only. We've had low moments even in this career journey. You can also just shed more light on how the women struggle and how we can encourage the struggling women to come out of their shell and succeed. So I'll just take one minute from both of you to answer those very important questions. Thank you. Over to you, Queen Joy.
I thought that Toyin will shoot, then I will shoot last. Let's see what she will shoot.
Okay, I think it was two questions in one.
Yeah.
So the first one is really, and if Mr. President was to ask and all, that's why I know we're kind of pressed for time. I think the government is on its journey of creating a more enabling environment for women to thrive. I mean, in the past, we never had a Ministry of Women Affairs, for instance. So that's a significant signal, that we do matter. And I think, having that ministry actually also helps to drive a number of the local initiatives and as well as the global initiatives that you have amongst maybe the other sovereign authorities like WEF, that's the World Economic Forum, the UNESCO and all the other ones that we see from time to time. And also just making sure that, we're better positioned and we're tapping into all the talents and creating a more balanced society. So I would say we need to just ensure at, the policies around the key objectives, for which the Women Affairs Ministry has been set up is actually being activated and it continues to be realized. So that's the way I would pitch that first question. I think for the second one, in terms of low moments, and like I said, the society is also growing. And if I think about it, it's just making sure that more organizations continue to create an environment where everyone can thrive. In the past, you have organizations. Now we do have organizations rather that have like creches. We did have a creche as well in the building, whereby women who are growing their families and at the same time, want to grow their careers can have the opportunity as well. We've had women, like I said at the beginning, you have a more balanced population when people come into an organization, but as we begin to grow as women, as we begin to create families, you find out that the women fall faster. And so as much as everyone tries to ensure that we're creating an enabling, I keep using that word, an environment that enables women to thrive, whether it's in the maternity policies, then ensuring that we have maternity policies, we have, support systems, mentoring systems that can help, women who are actually passionate about wanting to grow in their various fields, kind of, more positioned in the manner in which they realize their dreams. So yes, so I'll just pause so that I know.
Yeah, all right. So Queen Joy.
Okay, thank you, Toyi. I think I'm going to build up to what we are advocating and sending to Mr. President if we have the opportunity. Earlier on, I talked about no clearly defined template for the education of the girl child. I think we have to be deliberate, if possible, if we are given the opportunity, that we should advocate that a deliberate template for the girl child education should be established as a matter of urgency. Maybe they can situate it in the Ministry of Women Affairs, or they want to establish a girl Ministry of Girl Education, or whatever it is. But by all means, let's have a clearly defined template that will take care of the education of the girl child. And also, I will ride on what you are talking about, mentoring. There's this is very, very important and very important. We have people that are looking up to people to mentor. So we should have that also. And I think those two things are very key. If we're able to establish those two things, you see that the girl child, the women folk, everything will just fall in place. Then all the lows and the down moments, I'm sure, Toyin, Fumi, yourself, you know that most times everything don't come easy or rosy for you. You have to fight. If you don't fight for what you want, nobody will give it to you on a platter of gold. You don't sit down and wait for battle to come. You prepare for battle. You live ready and get ready. When it's time to shoot, you shoot. So we are encouraging ourselves again, because we need to encourage ourselves every time, and encouraging all the women out there as well as our men. Please, we're encouraging you. Live ready. Get ready. Don't get ready, but live ready, so that at the time you need to shoot, you shoot.
You should right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I mean, you can all attest to the fact that we've been having a great discussion for women here. And I know that women are there to assist each other. We'll positively advance the growth of women wherever we belong. And I know that we have to bridge the knowledge gap in order to build and to produce more barrier breakers and Amazons like both guests that we have today. So at this junction, I want to say thank you so much to Queen Joy Esu Mbang for being here, FCA, a member of the Governing Council of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, and also to our great CEO, partner with West African, KPMG West Africa, Queen Toyin Gbagi, SCA. I recall how people used to say we look alike then in KPMG. But yeah, I like to look like those that are really doing well.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, and we truly say thank you from the Institute. We appreciate you. Thank you so much and have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks for having me.
It's good to be here. Bye-bye, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye. So I'll just take some announcement. We have MCPD training program on Wednesday, March 20th Audit practice is 20,000 naira. Reach out to the institute if you want to belong to that program. And also we have the March 2024 ATWA examination, 26th of March to 27th. Registration closes 21st of March. Please register as soon as possible. The fellowship conferment is dated to, Saturday, April 27, 2024, and it's at 11 a.m. Landmark. 175,000 will take you to the next level. So please join the institute or reach out to anyone if you want to have your fellowship conferment. At this junction, I want to say thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. It is good to always celebrate ourselves. We have to forge ahead in this gender equality drive, and from a wide range, women campaign, women events, we're there to just rise, to raise people up. So it says women raising women. So I would say thank you so much to everyone for joining today. My name remains Fumi Olaniyi. Remember to continue to advocate for women and even men if you deem fit. Thank you so much, and do have a wonderful day celebration tomorrow, and also a good night today.
All across the nations, all around the world, women are longing to be free, no longer in the shadows, forced to stay behind, but side by side in true equality. So sing a song for women everywhere. Let it ring around the world and never, never cease. So sing a song for women everywhere. Equality, development, and peace.